provided by Vice Chair Scully. Does any other commissioner have additional comments on those minutes? Okay, are there any comments on the minutes from last month from the public?
Chair Marston, members of the commission, my name is Chair Mosher. I read the last few pages of the minutes to find out what happened after I left at 6 o'clock to go to the Speak Up Newport event next door. And on the next to last page, there's some mention about the Ben Carlson paddle crossing from Santa Catalina to Newport Beach. And I was surprised to see at the top of the last page, which is page 17 in your agenda packet, outgoing Chair Beer commented that the prone paddle event is an extraordinary accomplishment and noted that former Newport Beach Mayor Will O'Neill had previously completed the crossing along with the incoming Harbor Commissioner Tom McElroy. And that struck me as rather odd because Will O'Neill is a good guy, but I don't see him as a paddler. So I went back and looked at the video recording that the Newport Beach Mooring Association has posted on their YouTube website. And in the last section of that, I noticed Chair Beer actually did not name a name. He just said former mayor. So if you want the minutes to be accurate, it should just say former mayor. And I believe the former mayor he was speaking of was last year's Mayor Joe Stapleton. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments on the minutes? Okay, seeing none, then is there a motion to approve the minutes with proposed changes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes, include the comments that I had made, and I'd like to also change the minutes to reflect what Mr. Mosher brought to our attention in terms of former mayor versus Will O'Neill.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I can second that, please.
Okay, we will take verbal votes. Commissioner Williams?
I was not present, so I need to abstain. No.
Commissioner Sparchek?
Yes.
Commissioner McElroy? Commissioner Kirk?
Abstaining.
Secretary Miller?
Yes.
Vice Chair Scully?
Yes.
Chair Marston?
Abstain.
Motion passes.
Okay, moving on to current business, item 7.1, progress update on the small vessel rental customer safety program. The city-produced safety video, knowledge quiz, and certification process. Vice Chair Scully will provide us with an update.
Well, we've talked about this on-the-water rental safety program now for over a year. And the genesis really of this program was the California Voter Safety Card, where all voters had to go through a quiz process, which I think most of us up here have already done and have cards. And that the people that rent a boat in the harbor are exempt from it. So that all we are relying on is safety briefings that are done or not done at the rental concessionaire before a vessel, a human-powered vessel, or a vessel powered by an electric or gas motor departs the dock. So the safety committee's been working on putting it together an opportunity for the rental concessionaires to point new customers to a website to review a 3.5-minute video and to take a 10-question test. And upon passing the 10-question test, and a passing grade would be 8 out of 10 or 80%, they would receive a certificate, which they would receive a certificate for themselves, as well as could email one or bring one to the rental concessionaire showing that they had completed the test and passed the test, whether they had to take it once, twice, or 3 times to get it correct. So We've been working on putting that together, and we have a sample of that today, which let's go through now, and then we can talk a little bit more after that. So it would just go to that website, and here's a voter safety orientation. And the city and the Harbor Department has already produced a video that I thought was very applicable to what we're doing here. So this is embedded in the website to where all you do is go to this website, click that button. You can expand the screen.
Welcome to Newport Harbor. We're glad you've chosen to enjoy the largest recreational harbor on the West Coast. The City of Newport Beach Harbor Department is here to help ensure your experience is clean, safe, and well enjoyed. Whether you're here to rent an electric boat, personal watercraft, paddleboard, kayak, sailboat, or simply enjoy the day on Harborside Beach, we have some important safety information to help guide you on the water. Newport Harbor is a popular and heavily trafficked waterway, home to a variety of vessels, including large and small sailboats, motorboats, kayaks, and paddleboards. With so many different types of watercraft sharing the same space, it is crucial that all operators stay aware of their surroundings and prioritize safety and responsible seamanship. Let's walk you through some key rules and tips to ensure your time on the water is as safe as it is enjoyable. Make sure there are enough life jackets that properly fit everyone on board. Parents, California law requires that children 13 and under wear a life jacket at all times while on the water. Life jackets should be snug but comfortable. Remember, life jackets are essential for flotation and visibility, even if you're a strong swimmer. Before setting off on your adventure, rental concession operators should provide a comprehensive safety briefing. This includes essential information about operating your rental vessel, local regulations, and emergency procedures. The rental staff will explain important details about the boat, personal watercraft, paddleboard, or kayak you're using, including how to operate it, what to do in an emergency, and where safety equipment can be found. See the staff for a map of the harbor and familiarize yourself with the navigational channels. The harbor includes more than 880 acres of tidelands with several navigatable channels. Slower, less maneuverable craft should navigate to the edges of the channels. The speed limit in the Newport Harbor is 5 miles per hour and no wake. Respect other boaters, swimmers, and wildlife. Maintain a safe speed, especially near docks and crowded areas, and always stay well away from other vessels and swimmers. The main navigational channel runs through the center of the harbor, providing access to the Pacific Ocean. To the north, you'll find the Upper Newport Bay, a perfect spot for paddleboarding and kayaking. The Balboa Peninsula to the west offers stunning views and a variety of amenities. For your convenience, public restrooms are located throughout the harbor. These facilities are maintained regularly to ensure cleanliness and accessibility. Please make use of these amenities and help keep our harbor clean and beautiful by disposing of trash properly, never in the water. While out on the water, be vigilant and maintain an awareness of other mariners in front of, behind, and around you. Also, keep an eye out for changing weather conditions, including wind, fog, and strong currents. If you're unsure about the weather or water conditions, don't hesitate to ask the rental staff for advice before heading out. The waters of Newport Beach are beautiful and full of possibilities, but just like any adventure, safety comes first. By following these simple steps, you'll ensure your time on the water is not only fun, but safe for you, your friends, and everyone else out there. For more information on vessel safety, visit our website or speak with your rental agent today. Stay safe and enjoy Newport Harbor.
So, and then just to reiterate, this is a website that you could go to on your phone. You could go to it on your laptop or your computer at home. And we'll talk a little bit about some feedback from rental concessionaires. But this can be done before you even show up to the rental concessionaire. It could be done the day before, or it could be done multiple days before, so it doesn't take up any time that, of the rental. So once you've watched the video, you'd go down here towards the bottom and you'd say, I've watched the video, let's start the quiz. So first question would be, California law requires children of what age to wear a life jacket at all times on the water? I'm going to step out here and answer these questions, and we'll see how I do. 13 years and 13 and under, correct. Go to the next question. Why are life jackets important even for strong swimmers? I would say they are essential for flotation and visibility, correct. What is the speed limit in Newport Harbor? 5 miles per hour, no wake. Where should slower, less maneuverable craft navigate within the harbor channels to the edges of the channel? Where does the main navigation channel run and where does it lead? That would be through the center of the harbor, providing access to the Pacific Ocean. What should rental concession operators provide before they leave the rental concession? That would be a comprehensive safety training covering vessel operation, local regulations, and emergency procedures. What information should the rental staff explain during the safety briefing? That would be how to operate the vessel, what to do in an emergency, and where safety equipment is located. What should you do with trash while on the water? Dispose it properly and help keep the harbor clean and beautiful. What is the most important principle all operators should follow given the variety of watercraft sharing in Newport Harbor? Stay aware of surroundings and prioritize safety and responsible seamanship. Finally, in an emergency, if you cannot paddle or control your vessel, what should you do first? Stay with your vessel, keep your life jacket on, signal for help by waving your paddle or arms overhead. So see, it was a 10 out of 10 score, and down here at the bottom you type your name in, and you put your email address in if you'd like to have a certificate emailed to you, and you can put the vendor email address in if you'd like to have that certificate sent to the rental concessionaire, or you can print it. And as you can see there, there's a certificate that can be printed off that you can bring with yourself when you go down to pick up your rental. So that really concludes the video, the test, and the results, and the ability to demonstrate that you've passed the quiz that is provided for that. I did reach out to a couple of rental concessionaires. I wanted to get their ideas, and we had some very good conversations. They were very concerned that and I don't think they paid attention to it. They were very concerned that this test was to be done when they showed up. That's not the case. They didn't want to burn when somebody has an hour or 2 hours of time for the rental concession. They don't want to burn the time taking that time taking the test. One of the rental operations does jet skis, and they require life jackets to be on all the time, not just 13 and above. So I think that should be modified and added into this. There was some suggestions that should we break it into two categories: one for human-powered craft and one for powered craft. We can think about that, but there was not a lot of pushback that it was a bad idea. Everybody that I've talked to really does want to be safe and wants their customers to be safe, but they need to kind of continue to try to understand this and how we would do it. I think the next step here is to have a larger meeting and invite all of the people that are in the rental business that have marine activities permits, and have a meeting at Marina Park and ask them to go through this whole thing before they show up and really understand, is this going to meet the needs of the harbor, and what do we need to modify in the test or to be more applicable to what the rental operations are, and then how we would roll this out. So that really covers everything that I wanted to say. So I don't know if there's any
All
questions.
right, thank you. So I think what we have two choices ahead here: to provide some direction to the safety committee file. So I'd like to go through each commissioner and get your thoughts on this. So we'll start with Commissioner Spurcheck.
Did you want comments on the details of this or the procedure of moving this forward?
I think that right now at a high level, do I think the questions are perfect? No, I don't think the questions are perfect. And those comments I would appreciate. I think you can provide them. But the concept of a video and a test before you rent, and is this something that makes sense for Newport Harbor? Those I'm going to say kind of at a high level.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's fantastic. I think we really need it. Just a couple of comments. The person that's taking the test, maybe there should be some, maybe that should be the spokesperson of the boat, so they feel like there's some responsibility just to attach it. I think we need to mention mooring fields to avoid those, because a lot of props get caught regarding the restrooms. I think there should be more talked about the direction of how to find where the restrooms are. I think that's an important component. The rental staff, I believe it said in there, the rental staff will elaborate on more of the rules of the harbor. So whatever those rules are, I think that should be, become more a part of this, that maybe the people can see that in advance, and the rental agent may review it again with them. So anyhow, a few comments.
A couple things come to mind. So I think it'd be nice on that final page to have a pull-down menu of all of the approved vendors. I'm just looking through the lens of a first-time renter. They may not have readily available the email address for the vendor that they're using, right? I want to echo the comments previous to me about the restroom piece. Obviously, that's a piece that's been talked about a lot. I certainly don't want to reinvent the wheel with the video, but maybe a PDF graphic showing where all of the public restrooms are and or suggested businesses to do business with that also have restrooms available if you are a customer of, say, a certain restaurant or bar, so on and so forth. I think equally as important is how do we ensure that this is being policed at the vendor level. Obviously, I always look through the lens of a small business owner, and I don't want this to be a burden on those folks who are trying to conduct business on the harbor. At the same time, ensuring that this has actually been completed is also important, right? So how do we create some type of checks and balances to say that like this was done and the vendor ensured this was done prior to that person taking delivery of their rental. So those are my thoughts.
Commissioner Miller.
I think it's great, by the way. I think I've heard from many of the people out here, one of the things that I didn't take away was the rental people going to regatta that's taking place with a bunch of sabbats, or you guys are sailing your boat and the guy does the crazy left-hand turn, and all the rest of that. So for boaters, they understand this, but I think we need to boil it down, maybe a few more rules of road, like I think you had mentioned. And then I have a question for Harbor Master Blank. When we issue MAP permits, let's say they're rentals and they have to be built rentals, is there any addendum in there we can put that says they'll be compliant with that piece of it? And does it play at all into it? And then also, I don't know if we should address this, but we got the email from the gentleman regarding Duffy, and he's related to this subject. I don't know if we discussed that here, but I don't know if maintenance records, everything comes into MAP permits, but obviously I just want to make sure that we address his concerns about having safe and responsible vessels on the harbor that are seaworthy. So I'll throw that up to you and ask that first question of you, does it consider MAP? And then, and back to your question, Vice Chair Scully, I think you're on the right path. I think it's great.
Commissioner McElroy.
Commissioner Scully, I think you did a wonderful job. It was very informative, and I think it opens a pathway for success and safety and cleanliness on the water. One thing that I thought about was that when you are taking the test, that there's a pull down where you can download your license to make sure that the person taking the test matches the license, so that when you show up, you have the license and the test together. So, those are the two.
Commissioner Kerr?
I also think that this is a wonderful idea. I did have a question. I know you had mentioned renters are exempt from the California voter card, is that correct? And do we know why? Is it just Department of Code and Waterways?
It's just the state.
Oh, it's just the state.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's where the state wrote it.
But I second everything that everyone else has already said too about all the presentation and the add-ons too.
Can I ask one more question? Steve, I don't know if you thought about this. If somebody has a voter card, in theory, they've already taken all these tests. You should be able to download that and bypass all the rest of it. I would have. I don't think you thought about that at all.
You just show up with your voter card, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple comments I have. As far as the restrooms, there's the app, the Newport Beach app, so perhaps the video should explain how to download that app so that there's
I agree.
knowledge of the restrooms.
I mean, there's a QR code, right, Paul? Yeah, there's a QR code. We can't get them to put the QR code in the boats.
Right.
You know, we need to promote that, I think, a little bit more. But the rental concessionaires need to promote the QR code so that people not only can see the restrooms, they can see the public docks, they can see all that. You know, I don't know how to weave that all into the safety video, but you know, we need to get a little bit more support from the rental community as it relates to having that QR code available. So you just zap it with your phone, and now you have the public docks, now you have the restrooms. You know, and I think that's pretty basic in my mind.
You know, the QR code and the map has all the stuff on it, but does it make any sense to have a hard copy in the boat that nobody has to make an effort to figure out where the code is or how to look it up? It's there, the restrooms are there, and it's one map that's hard copy. Just a thought.
Commissioner Williams?
Just a thought, random thought. I didn't realize that all the public restrooms were also listed on Apple Maps. So folks that are used to using Apple Maps, those are all listed on Apple Maps. So maybe at the very least, make mention that you can search for the public restroom stuff.
And I'll say, I like the idea of meeting with the map vendors to get their input. I would imagine that most people rent either by phoning or emailing, and either way, the vendor could alert them in advance to know that they have to provide this, so it's not really that big of a burden on them when they arrive. It's not going to be a shock to them that they have to do that. The other element that I think might need to be added to the video is about wind movement, particularly if they're on non-powered craft, so that they kind of know which way to go first and don't get caught in the wind trying to get back, because that seems to happen a lot. Otherwise, I think it's a good idea to go forward with it. So what would be our next step?
I think the next step is we need to engage the rental community, and we need to have a group meeting, and you know, things like this aren't necessarily like received with open arms. I mean, I think we have to get it out there, and we have to talk about it and talk about why, and talk about that we need to raise, you know, the level of safety in Newport Harbor, and how are we going to do that? You know, so I think it's the feedback that we've got from this meeting is good. We can look, you know, see how we can integrate that into the tests. We can't change it. I don't think we can change the video, so without going and producing a whole other video, trying to keep the cost down on this. But try to incorporate more of what we talked about here, but also let's get the rental community on board. Let's get them engaged, and see if we can get some momentum and support from them to just basically push a website. You know, so talking about, you know, right now the law is basically they don't have to do anything. You know, so I don't know how tough we can get on making sure that every person that's driving a rental boat or using a human-powered craft has taken that test and passed it. So I don't know how we get that more than a voluntary aspect. So that's just my thoughts. But I'd love to hear more feedback from the Harbor Commission and from the community on how tough we should be on that. But you know, I think if we can get people to take the test and they're going to go rent this boat and they're going to think a little bit more about safety, think a little bit more about what they need to do on the water than they would if they didn't see it otherwise. So that's kind of.
Yeah, another thought that comes to mind during the test, could we find a vendor that would be willing to go along with providing an incentive to get customers' feedback, right? Like all of us are here, up here are experienced boaters, and sometimes it's the most obvious things that we miss, right? So $5 off your rental, would you mind providing feedback on what's missing? Like during your rental, like what did you need? What information did you need that was not available to you or you weren't told ahead of time? I think that information is equally as important.
Any other comments? Okay, I'll open it up to the public for any comments on this
Chair
agenda.
Morrison, before you go out to the public, may I offer some commentary on the questions that I heard?
Sure.
So just quickly, to Commissioner Miller's questions, it is not currently a requirement of any marine activities permit that a safety briefing be provided or anything like that. If it were to become a requirement of the MAP permit, it would have to come as a recommendation from you guys that says, don't issue any more maps until this commission, don't issue any further maps, or don't renew any maps until this condition is added. But that is not a condition today. Your second question was on the operability and addresses the public comments that were contributed by email. The boats themselves we require either a certificate of inspection from the Coast Guard, which most of them have, or that the vessels that don't require that are in compliance with the manufacturer's specifications. There was a prolific operation 3-4 years ago where extra batteries were being carried on electric boats so that they could be turned around and rented quickly and without having to be recharged, and that practice has essentially stopped. There may be one provider out there that still does that, but all of the vessels, if they don't have to be inspected by the Coast Guard, get inspected by us, and have to meet the manufacturer's requirements, and so that problem has been eliminated for the most part. Or, I'm sorry, I think that problem has been eliminated completely. It's possible that somebody could walk in this room today and say, oh, this particular vessel doesn't meet the requirement, but then we'd inspect it tomorrow and it'd be taken out of service the next day. To Commissioner Kerr's question, the specific reason why single-use, single-day rental customers were excluded from the California boating card requirement had to do with a lobby performed by the Chamber of Commerce. California Chamber of Commerce went into the Division of Boating and Waterways and said that is an undue burden. The requirement to have a California boating card for a single-day customer for a rental concessionaire anywhere in the state would be burdensome, so that's why they are down. And the only way to get that undone is to go back to the Chamber of Commerce and get the Chamber of Commerce to say to the Division of Boating and Waterways, okay, we recognize the error of our ways, we'd like to change what we said previously.
Just on your comments on the maintenance and the condition of the boats, you know, taking cue from the public comment that came in over email, I don't think the rental safety program should be dealing with maintenance. You know, I think that's another section of the management of that business and the management of the marine activities permit. So I don't think it should be part of it, my personal opinion.
Okay, now open it up to public comments.
Good afternoon, Sandy Manich, a liveaboard resident of Newport Beach in Mooringfield A. And what I wanted to say is that I've heard a lot of reference to relying on the rental community for input. But as I said earlier, I have observed code violations that I have reported to code enforcement, and over 20 emails I have sent to code enforcement regarding commercial operators not obeying code themselves. So they were not obeying code as far as going into reverse. They were reversing over 70-foot vessels without notifying the proper horn signage, no notice. And I almost got killed by them. So that's very concerning that you want to trust this testing to people that I have observed not obeying the code to begin with. Doesn't seem to be logical.
Thank you.
Did a great video. I'd like to see maybe a little bit more of the basic rules to the road, like give way to sailboats, you know, something like that.